Caden said they had shirts made. That's toughness over talent. What's kind of behind that?
Well, I think toughness has to show up every day. I mean, your ability to handle adversity and bounce back from it, to step up every single day and give everything you got. And when things aren't going well, you got to be able to flush it and move on to the next rep or the next practice or the next game. And that's where true mental toughness lies. And look, we know the level of competition that we're playing in league play and even in our non-conference play. We're playing high-quality baseball teams where toughness has got to show up. And competing every pitch of every ball game is the only sign that we have on our door. And guys got to be tough. They got to be able to bring that type of focus and energy level every single day. So for us, the guys that are going to play for us are the ones that can show that toughness and step up to the challenge every single day and compete every pitch.
After the way last year ended, have you noticed a different energy or different level of urgency in the guys so far?
Well, I think this year's been phenomenal. The fall went very, very well since we came back. Probably the first message I would say that was sent to me was one where it wasn't even told to me. January 3rd was the first opportunity that the guys could come back and work out on their own. No coaches were involved. It was all player-led. And every player on the roster was here on January 3rd. We didn't start class until January 12th. So our guys literally, for 9 days or however many days it was, our guys were working out in the weight room, doing sprint work, hitting on their own, throwing on their own. It was player-led. And it shows the type of leadership that we have on the team with some of the older guys and just how much it meant to them to get everybody back here and working together as we get ready for the season.
Kate was saying it's as small as having parts of the stadium that they have to clean up, making sure everybody's on top of stuff like that. I mean, how much do you see players taking responsibility?
Well, it's a big deal. I mean, we've spent a lot of time trying to develop leadership within our program. Talking about last year, and that's one of the things that we needed. We needed more players leading the program. You're not going to have great leadership if you don't police the locker room and you don't hold each other accountable. And that shows up when it comes to setting up the field, breaking the field down, keeping the dugouts clean, keeping the player lounge clean, the locker room clean. And quite honestly, you got to be able to have those uncomfortable conversations with your teammates for the guys that aren't doing what they're supposed to do. So, on the back of that shirt it says respect the game. Well, you can't respect the game if you don't respect everything about it. And that comes with going to class every day, being on time, respecting the facility, respecting the uniform, respecting the program, respecting how we play the game, how we practice, all of those things. So it's just, again, just a whole encompassing thing that we're just trying to do, and the guys are leading it. My goal, and I told them this first team practice, my goal is not to have a lot of team meetings. We had a lot of team meetings last year. If I'm having a lot of team meetings, that means that I'm trying to lead the team and I'm trying to get the guys going in the right direction because I see that it's not going in the right direction. So we're just trying to get the guys to lead the program, and they know the expectations. I'm spending more time meeting with the Leadership Council. The Leadership Council was voted on by the players, not by me. I didn't make the group. They voted for the group. So that group is the group of guys that I spend time talking to. If there's any issues that need to be brought up, they bring it up to me. I give them my advice, and then I let them lead from there. So that's probably, I wouldn't say it's necessarily a change. We've done that for all 7 years that I've been here, but I think this group has taken it more seriously.
Monte, who are those leaders that you're really counting on this year?
Oh, well, I mean, and it's more than just the Leadership Council, but Mac Anglin is one of them. Jeffrey Gilbert is another one that was voted by his peers, and Jackson Lindley. Those guys received the most votes on the pitching staff, so they're the Leadership Council of the pitchers, and then the position guys, Chad Ferry, Blake Wright, and Briar Hawkins. Those were the three guys that were voted upon by their teammates. So that's the six, but it's not just those six. There's several other guys that have leadership qualities and that are very, very well respected within the group. But those guys are also the oldest, of the group. So they tend to command the most respect from a leadership standpoint because they have the most stripes on their sleeve, so to speak.
Outside of a less team meetings, what does a player-led team look like from your perspective?
Well, it's pretty simple. Quite honestly, just watch us practice. Watch us practice and watch us play. And you'll be able to see those types of things. You'll be able to see that, wherever our players are, if they're doing the things they're supposed to be doing, they're locked in on what's going on every single rep. It's just about competing every pitch. And that means if I'm in the dugout, I should be watching the game pitch by pitch, being a student of the game in the dugout. I'm a big believer in enthusiasm and energy in the dugout, but I think sometimes it becomes more about that than it does about paying attention to the game and bringing the right type of energy in the dugout towards the guys on the field. So it's about watching a game and learning in the dugout what's going on, talking baseball in the dugout while the game is going on. It's about when you show up on time, you get your early work in. Position guys set the standard, what time they're supposed to be here every day and be in the batting cages before practice. Just look behind you. This is all optional batting practice. Nobody's made them be out here. Nobody organized this. It's basically, guys, the field's open starting at 1:30 if you want to hit. And if you want to show up and hit. Well, they're all here. So that's what it means. It's basically, we can talk the talk all we want, but they have to walk the walk. Leadership takes action. It's like anything else. There's no manual on being a leader. It takes action. So that's what they're doing. They're taking leadership and action and showing up on time, working hard, checking in every day, stepping up every day, and getting better. And that's leadership in a nutshell to me. It's taking action to get a little bit better every single day and pushing others to get a little bit better every day.
Monte, how soon do you want to finalize your weekend rotation, at least for that opening series?
Well, we'll finalize the rotation before we play Indiana. Quite honestly, look, everybody seems to think that is like a concern as far as we don't have our rotation set. Well, we do play 12 inter squads before we play somebody else. Mm-hmm. Those games matter. They should matter. And here's why. Because when you play in the fall, there's a significant amount of downtime from the time we finish in the fall, which is around the beginning of November, until now. So how hard did they work to maintain their position on that totem pole from November the 1st until now? So we want to see how much better have some of these guys who are in a position to be in our rotation, since you asked about the rotation. Are they in the same spot they were in at the end of the fall, or are they better? Some of the guys that are in a position to be in a rotation, now do they feel the reality that we're 3 weeks away or whatever it is from playing somebody else? Now is the pressure going to hit their shoulders a little bit more? Well, we want to see how they respond to that pressure. We want to see is mentally, are they any different now than they were in the fall? They were in a great position in the fall, or they wouldn't be starting for us in weekend inter squads. But they have to maintain that and beat the other guy out. It's still competition. This isn't just practice. Mm-hmm. It's competition every single day. And that's why England's going against Hoffman, because we think very highly of those guys. This isn't a spring training game where they're just coming in to get their work in. They're trying to win a job, and that's the Friday night job. That job should mean something. That's why we have the guys starting that we have the guys starting. They're trying to beat each other out and win that job. But they're all starting because we believe in them. We believe that they have the ability to be a weekend starter for us, and hopefully for some of the guys that are even in the bullpen, they understand that too. Who's going to be the closer? Mm-hmm. We feel pretty good about a handful of guys. But the reality is Indiana's coming here soon, and the level of pressure to perform is going to go up now. In the fall, we're just playing, right? We're developing. The fall is about development. The spring is about winning. So I'm going to look for guys that I think can help us win games. And that's what I'm looking for. Who pounds the strike zone? When they get a hitter down to 2 strikes, who finishes hitters? Who does the best job of finishing hitters when they get ahead of hitters? What level of intent are you going to pitch with? Again, if guys come out here and they treat it like it's a bullpen or a spring training game or just an inter squad, probably not going to be a weekend starter for us. It's really that simple. It matters. Every practice, every rep, every game matters. Same thing with the position guys. There's still jobs that are open. But that's the beauty of competition, and that's where toughness over talent matters. There's going to be guys that are tougher than some of the guys who are talented, and they're going to beat them out. So, I think the guys understand that. This is nothing that I haven't talked about with them, and we'll see what it looks like when we play here, starting at 4 o'clock.
Monty, what's your approach to the season for you personally?
Well, you know what? It's a great question, and I've probably said this before, but it's the honest to God truth. Look, I'm blessed beyond belief to be the head baseball coach at Clemson University. Every day that my feet hit the floor, I love living here. I love working here. I love coaching here. I love these players. I love this university. I love everything about it. It's an opportunity to do what I love at a wonderful place, and I'm going to treat it like that. Look, last year was absolute hell. That's just the truth, and we all know that. But I've moved on from last year. Hopefully I've learned from last year, right? If I haven't learned from last year, then something's wrong. So you make a lot of mistakes, you learn from it, you hold yourself more accountable than anybody else. I'm the head baseball coach at Clemson. Last year was not good. I know that. I've taken responsibility for that. I didn't make any excuses about it. I'm accountable for it, but now it's time to move on and get this team ready. And that's my focus right now, is every day making sure that I'm doing my job of making sure that as a coaching staff, I'm leading our coaches and I'm leading our players and getting them better and put ourselves in a position to be successful.
You've known Graham now for a long time. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've had a conversation. What was his kind of message to you that you could tell us that,
Well, we haven't necessarily, had, any sort of conversation about this season or this year. Listen, if you've ever become a head coach for the first time, the first 90 days on the job, you feel like you don't even have an opportunity to breathe. That's how Graham feels right now, being an athletic director for the first time. It is an absolute whirlwind. The adjustment from one desk to the next, it's an absolute whirlwind. So quite honestly, I haven't spent a whole lot of time, with Graham, because he's got a lot of things that he has to focus on right now, adjusting from, an associate AD to an AD. We do have a meeting set where we get to spend some time together. He's doing it with all the head coaches now that he is our AD and our leader. That's coming up soon. I look forward to being able to spend some time with him. But I will tell you this, Graham's a baseball guy. Graham loves baseball, and Graham and I talk baseball quite a good bit. I see him a lot because we live in the same neighborhood. So I can tell you this, all of us coaches, I think, can speak to this. We're very excited about having Graham lead the athletic department. He's a tremendous leader, and all of us are pretty pumped that he got the job. So, but yeah, I've tried to leave him alone because I know he's been awfully busy here lately.
You mentioned the position battles. What are some still that are not up for grabs, and where do you kind of feel good
Holy
about where things
smokes.
are?
Okay, I'm going to try to go around the field if I can. Well, I'll be honest with you, we have two high-level catchers. Jonathan French has been here. He's played a good bit for us, played a lot for us last year, tremendous power hitter, very high baseball IQ, has a lot of experience at catcher. Cooper Ingle was our best hitter this fall. I mean, if you said right now you get to pick who's the best hitter in the program, it's Cooper Ingle. Cooper Ingle's the best hitter in this program based on what he's done this fall. Again, we haven't played a season yet, but 60 plus at bats in the fall. Cooper Ingle was the best hitter in the ballpark in the fall. So he's in the mix. Coop can play left field. He can catch. He could even play second base if needed. So he's very versatile. But both of those guys certainly warrant an opportunity to be in the lineup. The beautiful thing is we can DH one, catch the other, and Cooper does have the ability to go out in left field if needed to give us some options and opportunities. So we feel very good about those two guys. So that's certainly a battle. Briar Hawkins, Max Wagner, both those guys play third base. Briar can also play first base. Both excellent hitters, very good defenders. Second base battle is going to be a good one between Blake Wright and Tyler Corbett. Corbett's a career, I don't know, I think he's like a 330, 340 hitter at the Citadel. The guy can hit, and he's tough as nails, and he can do a whole lot of things to beat you. Blake Wright is a very good player, outstanding baseball player, and he's also tough as nails. So that battle is real and going to be a good one. That's just a few of them. I mean, in the outfield, look, J.D. Brock can play center field. Dylan Brewer can play center field. We've stuck Caden Rice out there a couple practices to see what he looks like. He looks like a power forward in the NBA running around out there. But he can play the outfield. He's an above-average defender out there as well. So, we've got, and there's several others. Spencer Rich. Look, Spencer Rich is, based on some of the sprint work and drills that we've been doing, he's the fastest player in program history. The guy can fly, can absolutely fly. So, he's another one that's going to be in the mix. Chad Ferry is certainly in the mix. An older player, was hurt last year. Tremendous power, all-star in the Valley League last year. Hit 6 home runs this fall. So we've got options. We definitely have options. A lot of people are talking about you don't have a lot of experience, a lot of proven guys in that lineup. I feel like we've got a lot of options and a lot of guys that can do a lot of things. So I feel pretty good about our position players. And I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out. It's tough to go over your whole roster in a setting like this. But, there's quite a few guys that we feel like are going to battle for positions. And I feel like we got a good problem for me. Probably won't sleep very well a couple days before opening day trying to figure out who to put out there. But we also know that, look, who we start with is probably not going to be who we finish with, right? There's going to be adjustments and platoon opportunities, lefty and righty, and injuries and things of that nature. So the main thing right now, we want to keep everybody healthy. And we need to have a little bit of luck over the next 3 weeks and keep everybody healthy so that I can have those tough decisions to make.
You have a tough timetable with Will Taylor, and how will you approach that when he gets close?
Yeah, it's a great question. Will Taylor's timetable will be dependent upon when he can begin his sprint program. Okay, he's probably from last that I was told, he's probably about 2 weeks away or so, based on how it goes over the next 2 weeks with his rehab, with his physical therapy and weight room work to build the strength in his legs. It's about 2 weeks away from beginning his sprint program. Once he begins his sprint program, then he can begin his hitting program. So they're tied together. So once he can do that, then we will have a little better sense of where he's at physically, so that we'll have a little more of a timetable as to when he can play for us. So as of right now, I can't answer that question simply because he hasn't begun running yet. Once he begins running, then he begins hitting. Once he begins those two things, then we'll see where he's at, and then we'll have a little better idea. I would say by opening day, we will have a better idea of when Will Taylor could potentially be back in the mix.
It's a little difficult to share a player like him with a high-profile player on a football team. How hard is that you go back and forth with Dabo to see you guys leave each other alone?
Very simple. It was a simple process. Look, Coach Sweeney and I, spoke about Will. Once we got Will through the draft, look, what Dabo told Will in that recruiting process is exactly what has happened here. When it's football season, he's a football player. When it's baseball season, he's a baseball player, and it's really that simple. Is it challenging? Sure it is. You have to focus a lot of your attention as a true freshman to play wide receiver at Clemson University, right? And then he had the injury. He's faced that adversity where now he's got to go through that rehab process, and this is the first time that he's had to deal with that. So he's dealing with that, and now he's coming over to a brand new group of guys that he hasn't been around, and he's got to get acclimated to them, and